Welcome to the Dateable AF podcast, because women dating women is wild, wonderful, and occasionally a disaster. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Kyle, a therapist in private practice.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Howell, researcher extraordinaire.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the after party for season 2, episode 8 of the Dateable AF podcast. Today, we are going to be talking to you about the feedback and comments that we've gotten about our episode on coming out late in life, no RSVP required. We heard some great stuff from you guys this time, so we really, as always, appreciate your comments and emails and texts.
Yeah, we got a lot of feedback on this one. And some great comments. One that I got from a good friend of mine that has come out late in life is just the complexities of this conversation. And that when we were talking about it, we certainly stayed pretty high up on a pretty high level of the conversation.
Yes.
But when it can be very complex. And to that point, meaning that just because you make a decision to change because you can't lead an honest life if you stay in, let's say, a heterosexual relationship and you realize that you love women, and that it can be very difficult if the person that you're with, you still really love them, that you didn't fall out of love with them, you didn't stop loving them, but you simply didn't feel that you could still be honest within the relationship. And I think that happens more times than not, that with women that are in more of our age category, possibly, that they made some very difficult decisions that were very heartfelt and very difficult to work through the kid thing.
Yep.
And then also just the difficulty of being, breaking something up when you still really respected and loved the other person. So I really wanted to address that we realize that's very complicated and deep, and that makes that journey really difficult. And for anybody who's on the other side of that journey with that person, because we encourage everyone to talk a little bit about that story and share it with somebody that you care about if you're trying to be in a relationship with them. You have to really be tender around that and hold that and hold that in a gentle fashion, because those are some deep rivers of
absolutely hurt. And we laugh a lot, as you guys know, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that because we've got a lot of comments about that. We never want to make light of something that would be hurtful to someone. And so just so you guys know, we like to laugh a lot, but we're also very mindful of the fact that, especially in this case, that there could be some hurt feelings, there could be some tenderness, and that is not what we are laughing about or making light of in any of these cases.
No, we just laugh a lot.
We do laugh a lot. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of comments that I just wanted to read. One of them is from one of our listeners. I think that she's okay if I out her by full name instead of Monique or Veronica, but her name is Clara, and she's one of my favorite people in the whole world. And she said, "I love being an avid listener of your podcast because it brings so many interesting things to think about and apply to my life. And it just brings me so much joy to hear you and Rachel cracking y'all selves up." I got another comment that said, "I'm about halfway through this week's episode. Listening to you and Rachel laugh is one of the highlights of my week." So we hear that a lot. And you guys, we are having so much fun ourselves laughing that, like I always say, I don't know if anyone else finds us funny, but we find ourselves hilarious.
We are hysterical. And y'all only hear part of the laughter that's on the recording. Oh my God, you have no idea what happens
once we sign off. Oh Lordy. And the way we record is different than the way things get released. And so what I will say is that you want to tune into next week's after party, because we got something to laugh about next week's after party. So don't miss that one.
Is she going to prison or is she going to jail?
I told Rachel it's okay if she goes to county jail. She cannot have an offense that puts her in prison, but we're going to be discussing that more next week. So on the topic of coming out, I mentioned in our episode that my mom had a cousin who had a long-term partner my whole life, but nobody ever spoke of it. Nobody ever told me that they were partners. And so one of our listeners said that she came from a Christian family, but that she had a gay uncle and a gay aunt who both had long-term partners. And she said that her uncles have been together for about 40 years and that her aunts stayed together until one of them passed. And she said that when she was growing up, she remembered just thinking that they must just be best friends. And that's why they lived together. And that's why they always came to family events together. And then at some point, she got older and realized like, oh, these people are actually in a romantic relationship, the same kind of relationship that my mom and dad are in. So I think that's interesting how families sort of handle that or don't by talking directly with their kids. If someone comes out later in life, they may not be owning it directly or saying what's happening.
They just keep them in the closet or in the insane asylum or wherever they put them.
Yes.
Old school. Yeah. So the other thing that did come up was a comment about me. If I met somebody, a potential date, and they were just coming out, I would lop them off immediately. And
that's right.
Yeah. And that also came into play with us talking a little bit about people who are coming out and still maintain a compartmentalized life where they're not really blending their lives and that they're sort of gay over here and they're friends and then their family maybe doesn't know or their family knows, but you don't mix them together and you're not spending holidays together. And the idea of that is something that we still do continue to encourage you to talk about how comfortable someone is if they are coming out, and even if they've been out for a little while, about how they lead their life. So we can't express that enough, and just knowing what type of person you are and what you expect in your relationship. And that if compartmentalization is okay with you and you lead your life that way, great. And if not, and as far as I'm concerned, of lopping it off, I'm just going to say that, as I said in the other episode, I have served my time of being a part of the research of these girls coming out. And I did that in my early years. and I did not lop them off. I should have lopped off a whole lot more than I did. That was, but I didn't. And I earned plenty of toaster ovens, so to speak. And now it's time for a young contingency of lesbians to be available to all these
to usher the late bloomers in.
Comer outers.
Yes, I think that is true. I forgot that one of the comments that I got was about, Rachel, you saying that you loved watching Jane Fonda in her workout leotard. And one of my colleagues, Monique, sent a picture that was kind of disturbing, actually, of Anne Margaret in a macrame jumpsuit. And she said that that was her. That was her, Jane Fonda, was Anne Margaret in the macrame jumpsuit in the movie Tommy. But it was funny because I had that text open and I laid it on the kitchen counter and Joe walked by and she goes, "Why do you have a picture of a naked woman on your phone?" But it was, in fact, Anne Margaret in the macrame jumpsuit. She was not naked.
Well, and so to you, Monique, that said that, I loved Tommy when it came out. I was in 10th grade, and I went to see the movie Tommy with the woman who was a senior that brought me out in 10th grade. And so I got a lot of good, sexy connections to that. Let me just say that was edgy. I liked it.
I don't know how old y'all are, but I never even heard of the movie Tommy.
Oh my God.
I was going to church back then while y'all were watching those smutty movies, I guess.
Right. Yes, you were, and how unfortunate for you.
It delayed my development somewhat, apparently.
Well, let me just say, though, you've made up for lost time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've done my best. So thank you so much, guys, for sending us your comments and your feedback. We love hearing from you. And we're really glad that everybody's enjoying the podcast. I'm glad y'all are laughing with us and enjoying us laughing instead of getting annoyed by it, because we do love to laugh. So anyway, as always, thank you for listening to the Dateable AF podcast, where we help you find your happy ending.
Remember, be bold, be kind, and for the love of queer dating, don't text your ex. Stay dateable.
AF.